Alright, we are back, and we just have returned from seeing Man of Steel. Oria did not. She was watching The House at the time. So, I usually reserve my opinion because I don't want to taint the field, as it were. So, I think we'll start with well, you want to start with the previews? Was there anything the previews that we didn't see previously?
Gravity.
Gravity.
Alfonso Cuarón.
Remind me again.
George Clooney and
Sandra
Bullock.
I have heard of that movie on blogs. Wasn't that one like on video on demand or something like that, and it's just now getting released in theaters? Like,
I don't think so. The main buzz so far is by the director because he did Children of Men.
Yeah, I've heard something like there's a lot of buzz going on around that. Like it's being compared to like really, really gritty, really scary sci-fi in the sense that it's not supernatural. It's very scary in the sense that it's claustrophobic. You know what I mean? It's these astronauts and they're in space. Obviously, well, where else would that redundancy? They're astronauts and they're in a fucking pet store. And
they could be fighting cavemen.
Yeah, fighting no. But they're not. They're alone and shit's going on. They're like spacewalking and they're just fucked. These guys are completely fucked. So that one looks really interesting. Don't know, because those can go either really well or really, really poorly. It's kind of like if you remember that scene in 2001: A Space Odyssey, where I can't remember which one. The one that gets his airline severed.
Was it Bowman? I think.
Yeah, Bowman. That really kind of really terrifying scene where he's just kind of drifting off, like slowly asphyxiating as you see him just like shrinking away, and like that. The preview, it's a lot louder in the preview, but that scene, it's almost like that. That's how the preview ends. As you see her drifting away, and she's just kind of it's not silent, but she's kind of helplessly calling for like anyone to help her, and it's really, really scary. I like that one a lot. There was Pacific Rim, which looks every bit as brainless and as stupid. I know everyone. I am such a killjoy.
Yes.
I am such a fucking killjoy. That is going to be one of the dumbest movies of the year. It's not going to be the dumbest movie. Is that coming this year? It has to be.
Pacific Rim?
Yeah.
July.
Okay, this could be the dumbest movie of the year.
And I'll love every second of it.
No, you won't. No, you won't. This is gonna be Transformers 4!
It's fucking robot jocks.
Oh, no, it's not. It's gonna be a Transformers movie. Fucking Michael Bay is like, God damn it, someone made a giant robot movie and it wasn't me. It's just gonna be robot. It's gonna be...
It's Guillermo del Toro.
No, I mean, yes it is, but it's just gonna be so stupid.
Who knows?
Just because it's giant robots, haven't we proven already that just because it's giant robots duking it out does not automatically equal awesome? God damn, have we not seen enough examples to beat that into your fucking head by now? Please! I abhor you! God! Please! You fucking sheep! Like, it might be good. It really might be. But, like, I look around the theater.
Okay, what's the worst movie Guillermo del
No.
Toro's
Whoa. Let me finish. I'm gonna let you finish, but Pan's Labyrinth was the greatest Guillermo del Toro movie ever made. But I look around the theater as this Pacific Rim trailer is playing, and I see all these geeks with like drool hanging out their mouths, and I see every one of these dudes with fucking steel boners. like they go, holy shit, it's giant robots fighting, and I'm like, am I interrupting you? Is this less interesting? These fucking geeks are like, oh my god, it's giant robots fighting, and I'm like, that's all it takes. That's really all it takes for you, is fucking giant robots fighting. Will you never learn? Like, at least with you have a reason. You're like, it's Guillermo del Toro. Fine. You have a legitimate reason. You're like, he's never let me down. Pan's Labyrinth. Beautiful.
Hellboy.
Hellboy. I'll accept that. That's a reason. But, like, I go on Twitter, and they're like, dude, it's giant robots fighting. Take the Transformers trilogy and ram it up your ass! Fuck Pacific Rim. You gotta judge it on its own merits, okay? And by the way, fuck the title too. I hate those fucking uninformative titles. Giant robots fighting doesn't mean shit. What else was there?
R.I.P.D.
Fuck that movie too! Fuck Men in Black clones! Fucking pisses me off! Going into this movie fucking pissed off already! You're a good dog, I'm not fucking pissed off at you. Yeah, give me a hug. I need a hug. What else was there?
I think that was it.
No, there was
short.
No, there was other stuff. There was a shitload of trailers. They fucking loaded it up. I don't know. Nothing else was interesting. Okay, go on. Superman. What did you think?
I liked it.
Okay. Well, elucidate. Elucidate, please.
Well, here's the thing. It's like I'm walking into a giant pit trap. I don't know how you think.
You don't want to. You don't. You're afraid.
Yeah.
You're afraid I'm gonna bite your fucking head off like I just did, huh? No.
Here's the thing.
Ass.
Here's the thing. I am an admitted Superman fanboy.
Well, yeah.
So I'm someone that even likes Superman Returns, despite others
I hated
having that opinion.
I hated Superman.
I can make a defense for it, but
I
that's
know.
a completely different story. The point is that
Well, no, actually, let me. I understand your defense of Superman Returns, and I'll give you his defense was that my argument was Superman Returns is a direct clone of Superman the motion picture. It is, and he's like, yeah, it is. And here's the argument for it. It says, Superman the motion picture was, like 30 fucking years old. It needed to be modernized. And I'm like, no, it didn't. And he's like, yes, it did. Because nobody wants to watch it, and it's an old movie. I mean, kids need to, they can't relate to a fucking Superman movie 30 years ago. And I'm like, that's their fucking problem. And he's like, no, well, and I'm like, okay. So, like, I just had an argument with Miles, and I just
it's a reintroduction.
Reintroduce this. Anyway, I did not like it.
And others didn't like it. And people wanted someone who could give comic book action to it, which is why they hired Zack Snyder.
Okay.
Who did Watchmen, and you got what you wished for. You got pretty visuals, gorgeous visuals, and
I disagree.
I think it's picturesque. I mean,
I got shaky fucking visuals. I got exactly the kind of visuals that pissed me the fuck off. Those fight scenes, and it wasn't because we were sitting close. I hate.
That didn't help, though.
It didn't help, but I hate those fucking fight scenes that are filmed too close and are shaky on top of it. Half the fucking time in those fight scenes, I couldn't tell the fuck was going on. The only thing that helped me, and it was a big help, was the fact the bad guys were wearing black and Superman is wearing blue. That was a big help, because unlike in Transformers, where everyone is just the fucking same color, that at least was a bit. I was like, okay, Superman is hitting him now. At least I could tell like which one was on which side, which one was getting like speared through several goddamn skyscrapers fuck me, man, this was a violent movie. This was seriously like fucking... There's over the top, and then there's this fucking... This is seriously like the most hyperbolic superhero... Really. This is the most destructive movie I think I've ever seen in my life. This is more destructive than Independence Day. By the way, this is not the... Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Blew up entire cities in
Yes.
Independence Day.
Guess what? We blew up entire cities in this... They bored a hole through the earth. What the fuck do you think we did in this movie?
They didn't bore a hole in it.
They showed a fucking map of the earth! And Toby Ziegler's like, they're boring a hole through the earth.
No, they're shooting gravity waves through the earth.
Yes! And they're fucking rearranging the earth's core and turning the earth into Krypton with their fucking singularity beams. And they're like... They beamed a black hole through the earth.
They only blew up the south side of with Metropolis.
Yeah, oh! That, by the way, was some weird fuck-off continuity error. I didn't get that at all. They're like, first it's...
I take it you didn't like it.
Okay. I will inform you when we're getting to spoilers. This is not yet it. This movie is so boring. This movie is 2.5 hours long, and it feels like 4. This movie it feels so long. There's a moment in this movie where I was banging my head against the back of the seat. First off, this is another origin story. I hate this. I hated this, and I kind of liked The Amazing Spider-Man, but I hated the fact they told another origin story of Spider-Man. They gotta keep doing this. Everyone knows the origin story of Spider-Man. A fucking 4-year-old knows the origin story of Spider-Man. You don't even have to fucking pick up the comic book to know the origin story of Spider-Man. It's like fucking cultural knowledge at this point. You pop out of the fucking womb knowing... Like, everyone fucking knows the origin story. It's like the front page. If you ever picked up the comic book in your life, it's like on the front page of every one of the goddamn comics. Okay? Everyone knows. It's like Superman. Everyone already knows the origin story of Superman. Every single person alive knows the origin story of Superman. You don't need to tell it again. It doesn't matter how well you tell it. It's been done. And then they did it again here. And you know, it's really well done. It's really well done. And it goes on for an hour. You can walk into this movie, no shit, you could walk into this movie 90 minutes in, and you wouldn't have missed a goddamn thing. Because by that time, that's just when he's putting the Superman outfit on. If then. You know, like... Okay, and you know, like, by the time he finally starts putting the fucking Superman out... No, not... Like, yeah. By the time he gets the Superman outfit on, you know, he finally, you know, he's discovering his heritage. He's discovering that he comes from Krypton. Okay, so he finds like the Fortress of Solitude, or he finds the secret. You know, he finds basically a hologram of his father. Okay, and you know he finds Russell Crowe. And by the way, this hologram was an endless source of hilarity. But he's like, my son Kal-El, I have so many things to teach you. And Clark is like, I have so many questions. Where do I come from? He goes, well, I'll tell you at great length. You see, you come from a planet called Krypton. Many, many centuries ago, Krypton, blah, 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 blah. And then he proceeds to tell us every single thing that we saw in the beginning of the movie in real time. From the beginning of Kryptonian history. What the fuck? Seriously, he's like, would you two stop it? I'm raging here. No,
You've been raging for 10 minutes, guys.
I know. Okay, I promise I will not interrupt you.
All right.
I am perfectly zen.
Like I said, this is what you get with Zack Snyder. He gives you beautiful visuals like he did with Watchmen, like he did with all of his movies. Yes, even the loathsome Sucker Punch, which I fucking hate, was one of my worst movies of that year. At least you could say it had visuals, so it translates to this too. And I would say he gives the same... I'd say he gives the unique comic book action to this that I haven't seen in other movies, to where you finally feel the superheroes fighting as if they are these gigantic gods among men. Go ahead.
I agree in that respect. The ending set pieces, I have my issues with them. However, I will agree that they were they were extremely epic, and while I felt they were really cartoonish early on, like the middle fights, I felt were like, there were times when they looked really, really cartoonish, but near the end, yeah, they were really, really impressive.
I mean, this is something that I haven't seen before, except in the cartoons. The cartoons have been the only thing you can see where superheroes are slamming each other through walls and through buildings. I mean, even the other superhero movies, the best you'll see is a character getting punched or thrown into a brick wall and it just kind of cracking under their pressure. I mean, this felt like two gods slamming it out with the earth as their playground. Yeah. So I admired that fact. This truly felt like Supermen fighting in a world. Which is what Zack Snyder gives you.
Well, yeah, I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing his technical prowess, and I think that's a major reason they brought him on board, was because he is kind of one of the go-to comic guys, and so he pulled off that technical aspect well, especially on the Kryptonian shit. Go on, tell him the Kryptonian. Tell him. You did this so well. Do it. Do it. Tell him.
Okay, it was the opening of the movie, and you know the intro already. This
is so not spoilers. You know, Krypton blows up. Oh,
Zod is trying to kill Jor-El because he's trying to send Superman off to Earth, and he sends his gigantic alien spaceships to go get him.
Yeah. And
Jor-El calls on his pet dragon, which is like a dragonfly / dragon.
He's like
Ethereum or whatever its name is. He's like Sephiron or something, and it goes. Oh!
He's like, you cannot escape me, Jor-El.
And there's a chase scene between Russell Crowe on a giant dragon / dragonfly and spaceships.
Yeah.
And that was the part I was laughing my
You were howling.
Because I whispered to you in the theater, I'm just like, I just imagine Russell Crowe and Zack Snyder on set, and Zack Snyder's like, okay, get on this saddle in front of this green screen, and here's the thing, you're being chased by spaceships on a giant dragon.
Russell Crowe's just like fucking confused. He's like, what? He's like, you're on a dragon.
I thought this was Superman. He's like, no, it is. It totally is. But you're on a pet dragon being chased by spaceships.
You're Jor-El on Krypton, and you're on a dragon, and you're being chased by spaceships.
It's like if you hired someone to do Batman, and you're like, okay, you're Batman's father. But here's the thing. You're about to get crushed by a giant banana.
What? Yeah, just roll to the right.
And so, it was part where I transcended the movie. I just imagined a purely green room and just a saddle, and you see Russell Crowe just going like,
That was one of the effects that looked really cheesy, by the way. This was like you saw Russell Crowe was like, "Easy, Atreyu," and like, and then you see like a spaceship behind him. He's like, "Ooh, ooh," and you can almost hear like Zack Snyder behind him, like, "Lurch left," like Star Trek acting, like, yeah. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, why is he flying a dragon? Like, why? Where the fuck did you get this on Krypton? Like, wouldn't he have like? And I'm sure some comic geek is gonna like correct me. Like, oh well, of course they have dragons. Like, what the fuck are like? Wouldn't he have like a motorcycle or something, like a space cycle? Like, cause that fucking General Zod has spaceships and like where did you park your dragon? Like,
I think that's the Prius of Krypton.
Yeah, okay. Like he's in the Green Party. That makes sense because
it causes no emissions. Well, some, but not affecting the ozone layer.
But yeah, you were laughing your ass off. He's like Rohypnol to me, and like, ooh, and the dragon like comes down, and I'm like, and you're like, Russell Crowe's like, what? And then he's like, yeah, you're riding a dragon. It's like, are you sure this isn't Avatar?
You're like, in full plate mail on a dragon outrunning spaceships.
Is this Dungeons and Dragons we're in? No, it's Man of Steel. It sounds like Avatar to me. Because there's a dragon and I'm riding it, and there's Marines on a spaceship chasing me. No, it's Man of Steel. It's an awful lot like Avatar.
If this were the 70s, you'd have like Peter O'Toole boozing it up, being like, what? Riding a dragon. Alright.
And there were... Michael Shannon, he is
glorious.
He is glorious in this movie, but he had to be. Because if he had underplayed it one bit, this movie would have been even more... Because, like, I would have, like, just lost it in this movie. Because General Zod has to be this, like... He had to be operatic. Like, by definition. Because, like, everything about him has to be... Because the fucker wears a cape. Let's be straight. You know? Everything about him is, like, he's Caesar. You know, he has a Caesar haircut, you know.
He was rocking the Caesar, and he was rocking a bitchin' goatee.
He didn't rock the goatee until he got sent to the Phantom Zone, and then he's like, you know what, fuck it, and he just like grows the goatee.
He's like, I will make it work!
He yells everything, too.
I'm bringing the style back!
There's so many times where I was just, like, cracking up, where, like, I don't know if it was intentional. It had to be unintentional, but there's so many moments where they're like this close to like ripping off a line, or they're like referencing something so close that like even the most casual viewer of other movies just wants to like shout out at the movie. Where like, you know, General Zod like kicks open the door to the Kryptonian Senate, and he's like, kill them all, and Jor-El is like, Zod, this is madness, and you just keep wanting like Zod to go, madness. This is Krypton! And like kick Jor-El in the chest. And then, Jor-El sends, Superman off to Earth. And he's like, where have you sent him? And Jor-El is like, beyond your reach. And Zod howls up at the sky, I will find him! And I'm like, what was the other one? Where he goes, release the world machine! And I'm like, and the Kraken! And he even says it in like the same way. He spins around, he's like, of course! Release the Kraken! And
he had the dramatic turn.
Yeah, so like, he really had that character nailed. And, the one good... there are good things in this movie, and he is by far the best one. I think the one thing I was really happiest about was, thank God, for a change, the villain was not Lex Luthor.
Yes.
I am so sick of Lex Luthor being the villain in these movies. Superman Returns really killed me, because Lex Luthor was again the villain. Because, he was the villain in like virtually every one of the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, right?
Not 3.
Not 3. Yeah, I mean, it fucking killed me. That I was like,
And
again?
really to his credit, not even 2. That was odd.
Yeah, but
he was
okay.
I'm not counting that.
He was, yeah, but he was still like there, like trying to hang on to Zod.
He was trying to curry favor with Zod.
He was not the main villain. I agree. But yeah, I was so happy not to see Zod, and that was still a big risk by Zack Snyder because that was going to be a hard sell. Because they're like, when he was talking to producers, he's like, okay, here we go. It's going to be an origin story, and Clark Kent's going to be Superman. He's going to come from Krypton. The bad guy, General Zod. And they were like, who? General Zod, this guy from Krypton. And like, what? I thought Superman came. I thought he was the only guy from Krypton. No, General Zod's. And they're like, you've already lost him.
Yeah. I've had friends bitch that, I want to see a completely original Superman in the fact that I want, Superman had more than Zod and Lex Luthor. I want another villain. I'm just like, you're dreaming. You're dreaming if that's going to happen. You are not getting Parasite. You are not getting Doomsday.
Yeah.
You are not getting Apocalypse.
Because the only people that Joe Q Public knows are Lex Luthor and General Zod. And I even tested my mom. I was like, if my mom doesn't know who it is, you're fucked. Because
there's no way they're giving their first movie back as a reboot to a franchise to something they don't know.
Yeah. So like,
it's not going to happen.
It's because if my parents don't know who it is, then your average consumer is going to ask, who's Superman fighting? And if I tell them, they're going to be like, oh, I don't know who that is. I don't want to see that.
I was shocked as hell when in Batman they started off with Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they still didn't handcuff Christopher Nolan and go, no, you're
Joker.
doing the Joker.
Yeah. That was stunning. And I think,
he pretty much had to do a blood oath to the gods and make a teaser for the second movie saying the Joker was going to be in it.
Yeah. And so, like, the top 3 I think you can name for Superman would be Lex Luthor, General Zod, and, like, distant third, Brainiac. And you'd never get Brainiac off the ground. Never. And maybe, and I think 3 would even be replaced by Doomsday, but the thing is, you'd never tell Doomsday as anywhere close to an origin story.
No.
Never. And so, yeah, I asked a bunch of, I asked my mom and I asked a bunch of people who don't really do comics. I was like, here are General Zod, and like, it was like 3 out of 5 had, but they didn't like, even those 3 are like, I've heard of it, isn't that from one of the movies? I didn't really see it, and I'm like, yeah. So yeah, it took balls to put General Zod in the movie. Because Lex Luthor is really, unless you're a comic fan, it's kind of, it's weird that, I get it, that's why Lex Luthor is in all of them, because he's the only one that non-comics fans are heard of. So yeah, I was so happy to see that finally somebody else other than Lex was in there. Go ahead.
We just kind of trail off.
No, well, when the hats,
the fall of Krypton.
The fall of Krypton. So Jor-El is like, he's like, you must listen to me. Krypton is going to explode, and the Kryptonian Senate is like, whatever. Which I guess has always been the way it is in the comics.
Always been the way.
They're like, yeah, whatever, man. This movie is so hilarious because the Kryptonian Senate has these... I have no idea. They had to have known that, like... There's no way you can look at this scene without just laughing. It's impossible. Because the entire Kryptonian Senate has, like, no joke, these hats that look like a crown roast that are at least 3 feet high. If you ever saw that Mystery Science episode of the Mole People with the big fucking hats, those are like those, but dumber. Yeah. They are so stupid. And I know you're like, well, it's Krypton, they're alien. No, these are fucking stupid. like Zack Snyder, I don't know what he was thinking. Like they were like, he had to have been thinking like, this is gonna be fucking hilarious. Like I don't know.
No, what it is he's trying to get through the fact that the Council of Krypton
that they're incompetent.
were a bunch of incompetent, decadent fools.
Okay, yeah, I get that. He got that across.
And you got it.
He nailed that shit.
They might as well have been the bad guys from the Twilight series. The what?
They should have done that.
It should have been Michael Sheen.
Why have you, Jor-El? Really, this is getting gauche.
Planet's cracking up.
I told you it was a bad idea to be mining the Earth core. We have less than a week before the planet explodes. Again with this.
Goddamn environmentalists.
I'm trying to watch Mad Men, for Christ's sake. You're interrupting our fancy hat party. Anyway.
That's part of the conflict is Zod gets fed up with the Michael Sheen council.
Yeah.
And he has to kill them to get his message through.
Yeah, so he just runs in there, and so they send them to the Phantom Zone. And apparently in this movie, sending them to the Phantom Zone involves encasing them in giant dildos and launching them into space. I'm so not even kidding.
Well, the ball sack is the fuel department.
Yeah, they get sealed into giant rocket dildos and fired. They look like giant dicks.
They're like human coffins. But you couldn't just send human coffins into space. Because they're shooting them into space, so it's like...
It blows their load up into space.
Zack Snyder, he goes, well, we need rocket engines and shit,
mm-hmm.
so put it on, but then you've got the dildo, you've got the ball sack, and you've got the shaft.
That's where the fuel is kept, is the scrotum, and then... Not the most aerodynamic of craft, because it curves, but it's the Phantom Zone, so whatever. So yeah, but another thing I never got, there's this big fight scene between Jor-El and Zod, and I really was questioning this, and I know I'm questioning a fucking Superman movie, but Jor-El fires Superman off, and he's like, what have you done with the Codex? And I'm like, the Codex of Ultimate Wisdom? And Miles is like, shut up. And so he's like, I'm gonna beat it out of you! And Jor-El's like, come at me, bro. And so they start fighting, and they start fist fighting. And by the way, now, like, Jor-El knows that Zod is coming, and so he's, like, put on his Kryptonian battle armor. They're both, like, armored up, like, fucking suited up. These guys are ready to go. And so Kryptonian battle armor is, like, they're seriously dressed up like Warhammer 40k Space Marines. Like, this is badass armor. And so, when they fight, they fist fight.
Well, they had guns originally.
But they have guns, but then, like, they go, let's do this, and they just, like, they just knock their guns away, and they're like, and they just start punching each other. Like, that doesn't seem like it would get much accomplished. They just start fist fighting, and I'm like, do you really not have a backup plan, like, if your gun gets knocked away? Apparently not. So, like, yeah, these guys are in plate armor, just socking each other, and I'm like, this is not going to go anywhere anytime soon. And it doesn't really. So for like 5 minutes, we're just watching these guys just like fight like little brothers. And then eventually, like, Zod remembers he has, like, a knife hidden in his glove, and he just stabs him, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I had this. And he kills him, and I'm like, well. And by the way, Zod forgets he has this, like, for the entire rest of the movie.
Well, it's not going to work against Superman.
I don't know why.
Because he's now on Earth.
That was another plot hole that never really got resolved, because in Superman 2... there's actually a scene where, you know, when the Zod and his minions come, they land on Earth, they actually are discovering for the first time that they have these powers. it's a little brief scene where they're like, holy shit, we can, like, shoot lasers out of our eyes. This is fucking awesome. Whereas, like, when like, Ursa and Non, they're like, they just, like, get off their spaceship and they're like, poof, and they start jumping around. I'm like, how did you know you could do that? What the fuck? And they're like, yeah, we just, I don't, they may have said something like, oh yeah, Earth's radiation, good for you. And I'm like,
They knew it beforehand.
I guess, but well, Zod seemed really unprepared when he got his helmet knocked off. I guess, I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, the fist fighting, it really bothered me because these guys, they seem to base a lot of their, like, look and feel off of, like, a Roman kind of a Roman legionnaire type of motif, and yet they don't carry any kind of, like, weapons of any kind. And I know they're Kryptonian, it wouldn't do much good, whatever, but it just seemed unusual that, like, they just fist fight. And I know, it's Superman, they fist fight. I don't like, plate armor, let's throw down! What else? I guess from here on we gotta get into spoilers. There's not really much to spoil, though. It's like, Superman crash on Earth, Zod follow him, they fight, Superman wins.
Well,
you know, like,
I guess okay. Well, I'll give a plus and a negative to this. Okay, I didn't mind the flashbacks because
I didn't mind those
that it wasn't just an origin story. It went into the character and the character that Zack Snyder was telling for Superman in this movie. You know, he's trying to outline the conflict that's going on with Clark Kent and Superman and how he feels and how he should act in certain circumstances. That wasn't an origin story.
Right.
That was going into character.
Right.
And I felt that was actually a positive for the movie.
Okay. And I think that's what the origin story should have been. They should have cut the Krypton thing entirely and had just have the flashbacks. Those were like 3-minute flashbacks a piece.
Yes.
Interspersed through the movie. Really good scenes between the kid and Kevin Costner and Martha Kent. I can't remember her name.
Diane Lane.
Diane Lane, yeah. Really good scenes interspersed that showed the life lessons that the Kents were teaching him, interspersed through the movie. That were really good scenes that I was like, that should have been the origin story.
It was like Lost, and
yes.
I say that some
No.
people take that as a bad thing.
No, it was good.
Because I hate Lost, but that was the one thing I liked about it,
Mm-hmm.
at least initially in the first season, and
Yeah.
I thought that worked effectively in this movie, was him flashing back to life lessons
Yeah.
during the course of the story.
Because that told you everything you needed to know. It showed him how he became the man he became. You know, and that was what it should have been. We didn't need to see him fucking hit the Earth again!
The negative, I will say, is that they felt the need to spell out everything to the morons in the back row who aren't paying attention, and so you had expository dialogue that was unnecessary several times. If you didn't get it the first time, don't worry, Lois Lane will explain it in the next scene, or Christopher Maroney will explain it in the next scene, or Superman will explain it in the next scene. It will get explained to you.
They explained the S twice. It's not an S. Oh my god.
Trust me, this is not a thinking person's movie.
No.
You will understand what's going on.
I also kind of had a problem with, okay. This movie just goes on too goddamn long, and it's not just because of the Krypton thing. They should have cut that out entirely. But the fight scenes, while very well done, there's too many of them, and they just go on too damn long. That entire middle fight scene between Ursa, Non, and Superman should have cut it. Just didn't need to be there. And the end fight scene with Zod, there's about 300 too many skyscrapers that they punch each other through. And I'm not, like, when I say like 300, not joking. Am I lying?
No,
Nah. They seriously punch each other through like 300 fucking skyscrapers. They fucking... Like, Metropolis must be like the biggest goddamn city in the... It probably is in the comics, but they... Like, every building in Metropolis is a skyscraper, and they fucking flatten every fucking one of them. Like, I thought they destroyed Metropolis, and then Zod, like, gets up, and then they find the other half of it, and they wreck that too.
I'm pretty sure Metropolis is basically all of New York City and New Jersey
Combined?
Well,
they fucking wreck all of it.
Because I think they blow up the lower borough, and then they brawl through the upper.
Yeah, because, like, General Zod releases the Kraken and, like, bores a hole through the earth with it. Because, like, basically the world machine, like, creates a black hole. And then, so, like, they're going to terraform Earth into Krypton, which is, by the way, is the exact same plot as Transformers 3. I'm just saying.
So that one they wanted to bring Megatron, or whatever the homeworld is, Cybertron, to Earth, and then enslave the human race.
But they were going to, like, crash it in and make the same thing. I don't know, it was stupid. Anyway, here's where I had a problem reviewing this movie. I have a hard time... I had a real hard time. When I was watching this movie, I was like, okay, I'm comparing this to Superman 2. And that's not fair. It's not. Because Superman 2 was a long time ago, and I am an old man. What if because you're like, okay, you said like, okay, Superman Returns is modernization of Superman motion picture. I'm like, okay, what if I'm a kid and I watch Superman Returns and I see this, or I see Man of Steel, and this is the origin story that I'm going to grow up with. How does this compare? And I'm like, okay, I don't know. I don't know, like how, because I can't disassociate myself from that. So now I'm thinking like, okay, I have to compare this version of Superman with that one, and like I have to compare this origin with the previous one. Like, you know, do I like Christopher Reeve better than this guy? I just find the Christopher Reeve portrayal of Superman to be a lot more like welcoming, likable. You know what I mean? To be a lot more iconic as that kind of trusting kind of guy. Actually, this new Superman seems to be kind of a. I know the word people are going to throw around is grittier or darker. I don't want to say that.
Gruff?
Yeah, like gruff, intense, terse. And that's not the way you think of Superman, you know? And he doesn't come across...
I just don't think he had the opportunities to show that. There weren't many light moments where he's palling around with Jimmy or Lois.
Right, yeah, and so, like, there's moments in the original Superman where, like, he's helping people, like, and he helps people in this one, but, like, somebody falls from a building and he catches them and he's like, be careful, and so somebody's like, thanks, Superman, he's like, no problem, and he sails off. And
they had moments, but they were just moments.
Yeah.
I think you saw some flashes where he was being a little more charismatic when they finally let him open up.
Yeah.
Especially in the scenes with Lois.
Yeah.
Those are flashes, though.
Yeah. And so, and I admit, in this movie, he really had no time.
Yeah.
So, like, in this one, he's getting his fucking ass kicked by Ursa and Non. So, like, some guy, like, Wilhelm gets knocked out of a fucking helicopter. He saves this guy. He's like, you okay? So,
train.
Yeah, he gets fucking hit with a train. And so, like, he's got really no time to be like, see ya! Like, so, like, I understand this. It's just, there's really no charm to this guy. Because there's no it's not written for him. You know, he's very brooding, and that's the problem. Is Superman is not the brooding hero. That's Batman. You know, and that's Christopher Nolan was one of the writers for this, and I think that's part of the problem with this modern era is we can't have we can't have this happy, you know, we can't have a lighthearted hero anymore. We have to have this brooding character, and I think that's the problem. Is I think people kind of equates a more lighthearted hero with childish, and I don't know if that's necessarily the case because Iron Man, for instance, Iron Man is a lighthearted character, and yet we don't really consider him childish. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'll disagree again in that.
Go ahead.
You still had Tony Stark dealing with heavy issues
Sure.
in his own life, and in this one, you had Superman dealing with issues in his life also, and
That's fine.
I think that's and the best Superman trade paperbacks always did kind of delve into a darker side. There's more thought experiments, probably like Superman. What if he grew up as a communist?
But I'm not saying he can't deal with dark issues, but I'm saying there's no reason he can't smile. You know what I mean?
At least discovering it's okay to be Superman.
I know, but it's like I'm sure he smiles in this movie, but I'm like, dude, come on.
This was more.
He's like, I'm so very sad.
No, Henry Cavill was Bill Bixby. He
I
was the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, he's
from
like,
town to town.
he's on this crab boat, and he's like, I saved that people from the oil rig, but they know now. He like walks away.
He was.
You see him walking on the
Hulk.
road. He's like,
playing the theme in my head.
he kind of was like that, where he's like, he helps people, but then he has to move on because they know his secret, and he has to keep moving. But yeah, he's kind of this sad and lonely character, and I'm like, that's tonally, it's like, it felt a little wrong, and just part of me, like, the way that the older Superman movies were written just felt a little, the tone was a little more fitting, and that's just me. So, if that makes sense, to me, the darker, or at least not, if not darker, the more serious tone, or whatever you want to call it.
I'll take serious over darker.
Brooding or serious tone. It kind of bogged the movie down, or it kind of gave it a lot of unnecessary weight. And I think maybe it was because, maybe it was Michael Shannon actually who, because otherwise, you know, Michael Shannon is this really fucking screaming intense guy, and you couldn't necessarily have Superman be like, drink your milk, and like, because he's like, I will kill him, you know, because he really is like, I'm not even like, I'm not underplaying it, he's like, he's, I will kill him, you know, just, release the Kraken! He really is like screaming that he is like just fucking chewing the scenery, spitting it out, and regurgitating it and eating it again, and like a cow. Man. Another thing that bothered me, Lois Lane. Lois Lane apparently goes everywhere. She could just. After the halfway point of this movie, once she figures out who Superman is, she has no reason to be in this movie. In fact, at one point, I don't know why she's there. Like, the General Zod is like, he finally finds Earth because he needs to find Superman, because, like, he has the Codex of Ultimate Wisdom. And he's like, he demands Earth, he's like, you need to turn over Superman, or I'll blow Earth up with a blag hoe. And so he turns himself in, and so Lois Lane is there because he turns himself into Lois. Lois brings him in. And so the spaceship lands and Ursa comes out and he's like, okay, you're Superman, come with me. And also General Zod wants you! And points to Lois, and I'm like, why?
There's loose
And
reasons for why.
no, there isn't.
Yes, there are. I can make apologies for why. It's because they can look through people's minds and read them, and Lois is a person with the most intimate knowledge of Superman. They're trying to look for the Codex of Wisdom.
Sorry, go ahead.
So who else? That they would scan Superman's mind, but they'd also scan Lois's. I told you I could. I told you they were loose.
Bullshit.
But I told you they could.
She had no reason to be in this movie after that halfway point. But like Ursa's like, General Zod wants the woman, and I'm like, no, he doesn't.
He wants Amy Adams, okay?
And then like they're gonna drop the
Zod wants to tap that.
that would have been a better reason. Like if he's watching the news and Zod's like, hell yeah,
I will hit that.
I will hit that. That'd be weird. Like, I want her DNA in my Kryptonian birthing matrix! Ah! Make it so! Yeah, so like, yeah, and then like they're about to launch the fucking like singularity bomb or whatever it is, and so like they're loading this fucking jet, they're loading the bomb into a plane, and I was stunned by this. Like so they're flying it towards the spaceship, and then like Lois Lane like walks into the cockpit. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? And
I have an explanation for that too.
What?
Jor-El taught her how to use it. So she's the only one that knows how to use it.
Yeah, really complicated. You put the fucking Kryptonian USB stick in, and she fucks that up too. Yeah, Jor-El taught her how to do it, and she's like, it doesn't work. You gotta push it all the way in.
You gotta jiggle the handle.
I'm like, that's what she said. She fucks it up, and it had like Toby Ziegler had to do it because he's like, oh, you turn it like this, and it worked.
Well, it's Toby. Come on.
And I'm like, she had no reason to be on that plane. I'll tell you why she was on that plane, so she get knocked out of the plane again. Seriously, she gets knocked out of airplanes like 3 times, that fucking movie, so Superman can catch her and drop her back on the ground. It's like 3 times! She gets knocked out of an escape pod in the spaceship. Superman catches her, puts her on the ground. She gets knocked out of an airplane. Superman catches her, puts her on the ground. I think she gets knocked out of a helicopter. Or it's like knocked out of a skyscraper. It's like 3 times. God damn. Oh, and fucking Russell Crowe's hologram. That hologram.
He's a sidler. He sneaks up on you.
That hologram. Fucking creepy. You ever see those? Do you ever see that video of those Sherlock Holmes PC games? They're called Creepy Watson. No. Okay, Creepy Watson. The Sherlock Holmes games were kind of made like as budget PC titles, and so you play as Sherlock Holmes, and Watson kind of follows you. But the thing is, they never actually coded animation for Watson, so Watson follows you, but you never actually see Watson move. So Watson only moves when you're not looking at him. Okay? So like, you'll be moving and then you'll turn around and then Watson's there. So like, you'll be walking and then you turn around and like, boom, Watson's like right to you. He's like right there. So there's videos of like creepy Watson. So that's what Jor-El is. Like, so there's...
Yeah, it's no longer giant Marlon Brando head. It's Superman will be doing something and then you'll just see Russell Crowe like right behind him going like, hello.
And but yeah, nobody's surprised by this. I would like drop my fudge, like, because like they turn a corner and then like looming out from behind them, they're like, he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, ah!
It's always at these opportune moments. Like I always expect Superman to take a whiz on the ship and Russell Crowe to just be like, what are you doing?
To be like, yeah, he's taking a whiz, and he'd be like, Kal-El, you must serve as an example to the human. Ah! You
did get my genes.
And like fucking Zod is having arguments with this guy. He's even like threatening the hologram. He's like, "What are you doing on my ship?" And he's like, "I designed this ship. I'm in the computer." And he's like, "Computer, prepare to delete the hologram." I'm like, "Prepare to delete the hologram." And he's like, "No, don't do it yet. I want to fuck with the hologram." And he is. And that's what he says. He's like, "Tell me, Jor-El, do you have the capacity to feel pain?" And he's like, "I will build Krypton on your son's bones. Delete the hologram." He says it. He's like, "I want to fuck with the hologram." I'm like, this guy is amazing.
Your goatee is stupid. Shut up!
Shut up! My goatee is sweet.
Only I can grow a beard. I'm Russell Crowe.
Damn you, Jor-El! No! By the way, I would have killed for just one. No! Didn't give us one.
It's gonna be in the bleed scenes on the
No,
DVD.
there's not gonna be one. J.J. Abrams would have given us a kneel! Because he can't help himself. He gave us a con!
Michael Shannon is entertaining enough. He knows he'll do a kneel on one of the outtakes.
You're telling me Michael Shannon just would have, like, improv'd a kneel?
He would have trolled the scene. He just would have been...
Just before the cut, he'd have been like, kneel! God damn it, Michael!
Stop saying that, Michael.
Just at the end of, like, every scene he's in, he'd just be like, kneel!
You wouldn't even seen it coming. You just would have been like, "Jor-El, you've got to agree with me on what the Senate is doing is wrong." No!
Just in the middle of a line, just for no reason. Like, he's just like... just in the middle of a really innocuous line, too. It's like...
I'd even see him popping into a scene, like when Superman and Lois are talking in the interview room. He, like, photobombs them and just runs in going, "No!"
He's like, the woman must wear a breather mask because the atmosphere is... What are you doing, Michael? He's Zod.
It's gonna happen, I'm telling you.
Because he's Zod. Okay, so I'm still comparing this movie to, like, the older ones, and again, it's not fair. So, like, how does this compare to, like, Terrence Stamp as Zod? And I'm like, they're two completely different characters. I can't do it. I can't separate this, and so I don't know how. They're two completely different animals, and so I don't know if I was a kid and I was watching this for the first time, and then I was to go back, and, like, try to watch the Christopher Reeve version again, which I would like better. I don't know. Honestly, I still get the feeling I would like the older versions better, just by sheer virtue of the fact that I just think it goes on way too long. And okay, here's where I really think forgetting the origin story. Okay, let's just say that if I was a kid and I was watching this movie for the first time and I didn't like, because okay, my whole problem with the origin story being told 100 times. If this is the first time I'd seen it, forgetting my screaming, bitching rant that I went on forever, if this is the first time I'd seen it, I didn't see it, okay, fuck it. It's good. It's well told. It is. They tell it 3 fucking times in the movie, but it's well done. If I hadn't seen it, the ending fight, while well done, goes on forever. And it's still out of character for Superman. Because they fuck Metropolis up. They fuck it up. Like, they fuck it up, and then they fuck it again, and then they bend Metropolis over a pinball machine, and then they fuck it without lube. They fuck Metropolis up. Now, you ask me why I have a problem with that. It's because I've read comics where Superman gets into fights in Metropolis, and there's actually been little thought bubbles in Superman's head where he's like, I'm fucking Metropolis up. I'd better take the fight outside of the city. So he intentionally takes the fight outside of Metropolis because they're fucking Metropolis up. So, like, does Superman in this movie give a fuck No, he's actually taking Zod by the head and, like, raking his face along, like, seriously, like, a dozen skyscrapers, and then, like, pile driving him into train stations. Superman don't give a fuck in this movie, man. He's like, oh, a bank building, fuck you, Zod, boom, and, like, he is seriously, like, dragging buildings down on this guy. He's like, God, I hope there's no one in here. I'm like, dude, Superman? The fuck are you doing, man? Like, this guy has no regard for human life. For all this shit of him like, oh my god, there's a guy falling out of that building. Fuck that, man. He fucking spears General Zod through, no joke, 10 buildings at a time.
Most of that is Zod.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Watch that movie again. He fucking spears Zod just as many times as the other way around. You
did.
Yes. It's fucking disgusting, man. How many times they fucking... You saw that scene where he's like got him by the fucking Caesar cut, and he's like whipping him through buildings. He's like, "Oh fuck you, Zod!" And Zod's like, "Oh my Caesar cut!" And he's like, "Yeah, dude, man, fucking Superman kills like 1,000 people. It's fucking disgusting." And I'm like, there's this scene where like when he finally stops the Doomsday Machine. And, like, Metropolis is just gone. And so, like, there's this... The only survivors are, like, Perry White and 3 people from the Daily Planet. And the lady crawls out of the wreckage and she goes, Superman saved us. And I'm like, no, he didn't. He didn't at all. Metropolis is fucked. And Lois is like, you saved us, Superman. He's like, I'm just doing my job. And I'm like... Wow! Like, this is never gonna get fixed. Not ever!
This is now the cartoon territory. Metropolis gets fucked up all the time in cartoons, and it's just you got like a superhero insurance fund now that just rebuilds entire sections of the city.
Not in this case. Jesus Christ! This was so over the top and hyperbolic. They really needed to tone it down. And what I found interesting was the best moment of that fight was the moment where they didn't fall through any fucking buildings at all. The conclusion of the fight where they're just kind of like, they're basically just kind of wrestling, and he's got him in the chokehold, and that moment where they're basically just completely tired out, and they're just kind of raining elbows on each other, and they're just kind of like, they're done. They're not just, there's no like epic screaming Latin, no Greek fucking chorus. It really needed to tone it down, and it was really sweeping and epic, but at some point it needed to stop. Am I out of my mind? Am I really that insane? Like, you're looking at me like,
I just I think there's a disconnect on this one between critics and the people watching it, and I think there's a disconnect between comic book fans or hardcore comic.
This has nothing to do with me in the comics.
This summer has really been like the summer of hyperbolic statements when it comes to internet reviews, because it's like every week something is the worst thing ever.
I'm not saying that.
I'm not saying you are either, but it's like when Iron Man 3 came out, everyone had to jump to say that this was the worst superhero movie ever made.
No, I didn't say that.
I'm not saying
no, I'm not. Yeah,
but then Star Trek 2 came out, and oh my god, Gene Roddenberry's raped. This is the worst thing to happen since baby AIDS.
Well, that's... It's kind of hip to be... Yeah.
When Fast and the Furious 6 came out, people actually said I'm a bad person for buying a ticket because I'm contributing to the Holocaust
You're
of
part of the
Hollywood. And now with Superman, it's just like, oh my god, this is new. I'm just like, really, I go to the internet for fair and balanced reviews.
Dude, it's the internet. It's the internet. People are. It's the nature. You know. It's.
But that's what I'm saying is that's the disconnect I'm seeing here. Is the crowd here was entertained by what was going on overall, and you have the minority, in this case, of the internet, and I think you have critics who are being unfair and jumping on the hate Zack Snyder bandwagon, and really, if you're just judging this, like I said, everything's judged in. I don't swing one way or the other. Everything's a shade of gray, and I'm not saying this is a great movie because. Yes, I would have appreciated something other than an origin story again, and yes, they are extremely, they swing for the back row as far as the exposition and explaining things over and over and over again. I will grant you that there are problems with this movie, but I appreciated the characterization, the flashbacks on this. I thought the acting overall was good, and I liked the comic book action of it. I thought, on its own merits, it's a well done blockbuster.
It needed to turn it down. Is my point. It needed to. It was at the knob went to. There, some knobs go to 11. This went to like 110. You know, this needed to really dial it back.
They could have done without the Doomsday weapon and just had Superman and Zod fight.
Yeah.
That part was the part that needed to be cut.
They caused enough damage without the fucking Doomsday weapon.
Agreed.
They seriously did.
They wanted to give Lois something to do. So they had her in a plane with Special Victims Unit.
You know, really, Lois didn't even need to be in this movie. That sounds ridiculous, but she didn't.
Lois doesn't need to be in any movie, really.
No, but the thing is, she really...
That's been the chronic problem of all Superman of all ages in all media, is that Lois, she doesn't do anything. Think of any time in Superman where she does something, really. She doesn't. She's a useless character. All she is character for a relationship with Clark. He brings out, on a thematic level, he brings out the humanity in Clark. But on a plot level, she never has anything to do.
Okay. She does do that, though. She is an important character in that regard. Because in the original Superman movies, she does that. Because I don't think the Kents are really in those movies, alright? Now, she does serve an important factor in that regard. However, in this case, the Kents in the flashbacks are far more effective.
Yes.
In that regard. She doesn't need to be in this movie. Because, really, when Zod demands to see Superman, he could just turn himself in. You know, doesn't... Because she's completely superfluous after that point. You know, all he does from that point, she falls out of airplanes like 3 times and he catches her, and that's really it. Does she need to be on the fucking airplane to deliver the Doomsday bomb? No. So, whatever. Anyway, we have rambled on, or I have rambled on. You have been perfectly rational. My closing statement will be, this is another origin story. You take out what annoyed me about this movie. This is a 45-minute fight scene. If you edit it down to what I would have cut it down to, this movie is 20 minutes long. Really. So,
I think for introducing this to a new generation, the younger generation, this is what it will have in starting a new franchise for Superman. It gets the necessary... Trust me, I didn't want another origin story too. I thought they got it out of the way in Superman Returns. And I really didn't mind having Bryan Singer return for another one, because he promised that he got all the boring shit basically out of the way in the first one, and was going to do it in this one, but we have to reboot it again.
We did the boring shit in this one again!
So, for reintroducing it to a new generation, and having to have its own style and have its own characters and set up a new franchise, I thought it did it.
It really killed me when they had hologram Russell Crowe tell the origin story twice. Oh, sorry. It was... but, okay, the last thing I'll say is, where does this rank among the Superman movies? And again, this is not a fair comparison, because there really are, like... I don't know. This isn't the worst one. I mean, like... Because, again, people are like, this is the worst whatever, and I'm like, no. No, because, again, from sheer tradecraft, this is an amazingly well technical movie. Technically, this is an amazing movie.
I think it's great looking.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, if one thing you cannot fault Zack Snyder on, this is, from a technical standpoint, this is an amazing movie. And, I mean, fuck me, I hated Superman Returns. I hated that movie good. And... from a plot standpoint, Superman 4, A Quest for Peace. I hated Superman 3. Jesus Christ, I hated that movie.
Destroy Superman.
So, if nothing else, it's better than Superman 3 and fucking Superman Returns. It's at least that good. So, I'm not going to rank it beyond that, so at least it's better than that. Low bar, I know, but... And besides, Superman 4, I like that one because, I mean, come on. Nuclear Man.
Nuclear Man.
Guy with the claws. You gotta love that. Anyway, so as usual, we have radically diverging opinions, and I'm in my manic phase, and I like to scream about origin stories. Just didn't think it was necessary. I think the flashbacks told it all, and I just didn't need to see Krypton blow up again. No!